Ranking the Linkin Park albums is perhaps the hardest thing I've had to do in a long time on this channel. They have two albums that I don't get a whole lot out of, and then the rest of their catalog is darn near perfect. So I had to go a bit further than I usually do, looking at the track listing and say, okay, every song is perfect, but what is my favorite perfect song? And kind of do it that way. And I still couldn't quite decide between the albums, and I had to look at my favorite perfect songs and try to pick out the best of those. And I pulled all my hair out while I was doing this. I changed this ranking at least 4 or 5 major, changing the entire list. It was ridiculous. Let's just start with the 8th best or the most crummy Linkin Park album, and for me, that is Living Things. Castle of Glass and Victimized are stellar, but the overall vibe of Living Things, it leans so heavily in that electronic side of the band that the emotions and everything I love about the band just kind of bleed out here. There's nothing egregious, but it can be very boring and bland and gray like the album cover. And I've given this album a lot of chances, but it's never moved me. It's never touched me. It's never offended me. It's the worst Linkin Park album. 7th best Linkin Park album, and it's actually pretty good, is called Hunting Party. It's not great. It's good. As Mike says, he gives me what I came for, but this is not the same though. Got a different method, but I can still breathe the pain though. And I cannot continue to quote Mike's bars here because when he compares himself to food, I'm not going to go there. I think I might get in trouble with that one. This is a heavy record, but some of the songs are not memorable and it's kind of easy to skip through the tracks, to skip through Hunting Party and get to the cream of the crop. And the cream is Keys to the Kingdom. That's a banger. Rebellion features one of my favorite human beings in Darren Malakian. I'm probably butchering his name. I just don't have to say it in day-to-day life. So I'm sorry, Darren, if I said your name wrong. And Final Masquerade is just, it's really a return to the great singles of days gone by from Linkin Park. Okay, we're almost done with the trash talking for a little bit. Let's get to praising the great stuff. And Linkin Park, like I said, it's most of their material's pretty great. I do have some rants and raves as we go through the albums, but nothing crazy. All right, 6th best Linkin Park album goes to, oh man, Meteora. This one, gosh, I know it went from the top of the list to the bottom of the list to the middle of the list. It's really, really great. This is why Linkin Park, it's so hard to rank them. This was near the very top of my list. I had to do some serious studying of the track list. And while Meteora is near perfect as far as a record goes, I had to think how many times how many of these perfect songs do I revisit 20 years later? And as I looked, here's what I gathered. I still rock out to Don't Stay, Somewhere I Belong, Some Line From You, Faint and Numb, but the other songs have kind of receded into the background, just kind of at about the same rate as my hair since 2003. Figure 9 is delicious, as are all the other bangers on this record, and I can blast Meteora front to back on the rare occasion, but it's not in rotation as often now that I've become an old man. So there you go. Meteora, really good, really great. It could have been my 2nd or 3rd favorite, but it will never be my number 1. Linkin Park's 5th best is One More Light. And if you're having an allergic reaction to my ranking at this point, keep in mind that One More Light at one point was my 2nd favorite Linkin Park album. At least in 2020 when I did the last ranking. That's right. For many years I felt that One More Light was better than all of their other albums. Except for one. I still defend One More Light, and I always will. But it does have some skippable stuff, like Invisible, Sorry for Now. Those are kind of the weak links, and talking to myself kind of leaves me reaching for the skip button more often than not. But some of my favorite songs of all time are on this record, like Battle Symphony and One More Light. They're not just great Linkin Park songs. They're great songs that will stay with me for the rest of my life, make me cry, make me feel good. I love those. I cry to those. And Battle Symphony is so easy and emotionally satisfying to play on an acoustic guitar. Ooh, I need to play it on an electric guitar and see what that would do to my soul. But if you're an avid hater of this record, I encourage you to give it another go in 2024, 2025. The holidays are kind of busy, you know. There are no crunchy guitars. There's not much of Mike rapping, but it's an important record, and it is our last record with Chester. So it's a very emotional thing. It is a very important step in Linkin Park's career, and I think it was great. It just didn't land how it was supposed to. Linkin Park's fourth best record goes to 1,000 Suns. And have you noticed that Linkin Park's album titles have a lot of numbers in them? Thousands, zeros, ones, minutes are number-esque, right? Part of me wants 1,000 Suns to be my favorite Linkin Park album of all time, and Space and Coffee. But with 1,000 interludes smothering the greatest Linkin Park songs that have ever been written into uncomfortable positions, this one sadly can be a rough listen because of the interludes and the outerludes and the middleludes and the weird speeches. It does give me one of the only interlude style tracks that I love that are worthwhile, because I'm anti-interlude. I ranted about it in other videos. Probably most of my videos, I'm ranting about these wasted tracks. But it is my favorite little skit in 1,000 Suns, and I'm looking at you, Martin Luther King. You might have been the lead singer for Linkin Park for a very short time, but you put in the work, man. For 1,000 Suns, I'm going to dissect this album a little bit. I'm going to pull the greatest songs from the Wasted Gibberish and see what we get. I might link a playlist down there. You got Requiem and Radiance, Dear Lord. You got 2 intros. You got Trash Pile, Requiem, Radiance, Empty Spaces, Robot Boy, Giornato, DeBardo, Fallout, and those can all just F off, I'm telling you right now. But just throw them in the trash bin. 6 songs and 10.5 minutes of wasted space is what that garbage is. 1,000 Suns could have been a 37-minute masterpiece. But I cannot abide my time being wasted. I did keep Martin Luther King, Wisdom, Justice, and Love on the album because he spits fire. That's the one. That's the one interlude that's my interlude. But the rest of the gibberish could have just been absorbed into better songs rather than getting their own track number just to go blah, 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 blah. So 1,000 Suns, you could have been number 1. And I will leave that super mix of 1,000 Suns in the description. So, yeah. Screw interludes. Screw vibing in between tracks. None of that is good. None of that's music. An interlude for this video. Oh! I have more complaints about Linkin Park than I thought. Halfway through the list, how cool is that? Now we're even farther. Number 3, Linkin Park album. And yeah, the microphone's on, the oven's beeping. The 3rd best Linkin Park album is the brand new one, From Zero. And thank God this album only wastes 22 seconds on a BS intro before rip-roaring into the heaviest album the band has put out in a long time. Still retaining variety and experimentation all the while. On occasion, I might skip Casualty or Overflow, but I don't really need to skip them. They're really good. They're really exceptional when I let them play through. I'm going to let them play through. And when people want to know what songs sound like older era Linkin Park, let's do it right now, because every era has been revisited on this album, even though it's got a lot of new stuff to offer us. Cut the Bridge is Meteora. Heavy as the Crown is Hunting Party. Over Each Other is Living Things. Casualty is 1,000 Suns. Two-Faced is Hybrid Theory. I Gave You Everything I Had is Minutes to Midnight. And Good Things Go is One More Light. And Emptiness Machine and Overflow are the brand new From Zero sounds. I can't hear myself think! My number 2 Linkin Park album choice gave me a lot of grief as well, and you will too. Not that I want to be contrarian, but this album is so popular, so ingrained in pop culture, I thought surely Meteora or 1,000 Suns would beat the pants right off this album. And this album is called Hybrid Theory. How can it be my second favorite? But when I look through the track list, when I listen to the track list, oh my God, it's easy to feel simultaneously burned out on some of these songs. Or like, it's like, oh my gosh, this could be so dated or annoying, or I never need to hear these again. But when you click the play button on Spotify, all doubts are erased. Hybrid Theory, even the songs where I couldn't quite remember what they sounded like, it's an incredible listen, front to back. It takes me back to when I first saw the Crawling music video and thought, this band's on to something special. Hybrid Theory changed the music world. It sold 14 million copies. I remember being in high school. I was a sophomore when this album came out. And people that never talked about music, didn't care about music, this was all they were talking about. Everybody was freaking out. Kids were playing it out loud in class, ranting and raving about this band. Along with Stained, which Stained didn't quite hold up. It's clear which one of these bands has really come out on top after all these years. Gosh dang. Hybrid Theory has 6 billion streams. Nearly 6 million streams a day. Absolutely artistic, creative, commercial. It's on the level of Nevermind, A Night at the Opera. Oh my gosh, it's good. It's just flat out amazing front to back. There's just nothing bad to say about Hybrid Theory. The packaging is great. The songs are great. The rapping, the singing, it's got everything. There is a better record. There is a better Linkin Park record, though, for me. And the number 1 Linkin Park album for me is Are You Ready? Are you ready for a doomsday clock to tick, 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 tock to the number 1 spot? Minutes to Midnight. Tell me what you got. I could be a second rapper for Linkin Park, Mike. Yep, just in case, I could be a backup Shinoda, Shike Minoda. All right, I love every minute of Minutes to Midnight. This alternative rock sound is what I wanted, and Linkin Park delivered it to me in 2007. Heck, even the stupid intro kind of rocks. It would rock harder if someone was singing on it, if it had lyrics, but I digress. Did you know that Living Things and Hybrid Theory are the only Linkin Park albums without stupid intros and interludes and wasting my gosh dang time, Mike Shinoda? Fart! Midnight has the best heavy moments, the best rocking ballads from the band. It excels insanely. Heavy moments, with massive power ballads, and every tempo in between is also executed to its finest here. And the mood, while somber overall, just like all the Linkin Park music, wow, very depressing stuff. It's livened up a bit by Bleed It Out, which kind of, if you think about it, is a very, very weird, strange, unusual song in a wonderful way. Given Up is perhaps the greatest hard rock song ever. I've raged out to that song so many times. Picture this, if you want to picture this, in my underwear or less, standing on the end table, screaming my freaking guts out until I feel better about like existential dread, disillusionment, abandonment, heartbroken, no one loves me, kind of horrid depression, and doing the scream. Oh man, it makes you feel better. Oh, and beer drinking, like obviously heavily intoxicated while listening to that. Oh, sometimes that's what you need. Just stand on the end table and just give it up. Ooh, oh, it hurt. Oh, fart. What I've done sounds like Michael Myers from Halloween is about to get us for what we've done. And don't pretend you don't hear that. You heard it. You hear it. That's one of the greatest songs I've ever downloaded on iTunes. That was on my iTunes mix CDs. They're down there somewhere. What I've done. It probably got put on a bunch of different CDRs. Mike Shinoda has his first real solo song with Hands Held High. I know everybody's doing backup vocals. Don't be a jerk about it in the comments, or do. It helps me. The entire band did backing vocals. So there you go, which is awesome. No More Sorrow has been responsible for me losing my voice on multiple occasions. It's an extremely heavy moment in Linkin Park's catalog. The guitars are wiry and winding, the drums exploding into your guts and brains. Shinoda harmonizing the wings, harmonizing in the wings is what I was trying to say, and it's just a perfect rock song. No More Sorrow, ladies and gentlemen. No More Sorrow. There will be sorrow. Oh, you guys like punk rock? Bad Religion. Anyway, track 9 is called Valentine's Day, and I actually have recorded multiple covers for this song. I'll have to dig those up. I love this song so much. I'll never forget when I got the layered vocal part just right at the end. Man, Valentine's Day is a top contender for like ultimate level Linkin Park music. One of their best songs ever. Yeah, it beats out just about everything in their catalog that I can think of that they can throw in my ear. Definitely, I would love to hear Emily's take on Valentine's Day. Wow. That would be incredible. She could be my Valentine. That'd be okay. And she needs to give Hunting Party tracks and One More Light tracks. Give it a go. I think it would be fantastic. In Between is another rare Mike Shinoda solo track where he's taking center stage, and it's a great transition to the next song, In Pieces. In Between, In Pieces. Get it? I do not. Another mind-blowing deep cut is In Pieces. It's a groovy little light, a little bit of a fluffier, lighter rock vibe. And that guitar solo, the swirling vortex of emotions that Brad is doing there, it's something that only Linkin Park could create. It's a song that could only come from their cumulative powers of rocking the world. Minutes to Midnight ends with The Little Things That Give You Away, which is a swelling wave of emotion and subdued rage against maybe George W. Bush or I don't know, whoever you want it to be about. And it's one of the most artistic and well done songs from the band, period. Over 6 minutes long. It doesn't waste any of my time like a gosh dang interlude. And even the bonus tracks for Minutes to Midnight are darn near immaculate.